The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get in.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more for this Sunday morning, March the 9th, 2025. To today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all of their great articles and other podcasts as well. Today, we are joined, a second stop in the sports bar, by none other than Mr. Staniel Smooth, Dan Cruz. How are things out in Long Island? And you had a little bit of a welcomed but a surprise visitor apparently this week.
So, get the geography straight for here on Long Island. We have most of people that don't know Long Island that well are familiar with the Hamptons. You know, obviously Jennifer Lopez, Tom Brady, Tom Hanks, all of them have houses in the Hamptons. You know, it's a popular celebrity destination here on Long Island. Some people would say it's also why it's so dang expensive here. But regardless, my fiance works in an animal shelter over in West Hampton Beach, one of the towns of the Hamptons, and the area around the shelter caught fire. So because a plane crash happened like maybe some 10 minutes up the road, and a good chunk of that surrounding forest life caught fire. So she had to evacuate all the animals and stuff like that were in the shelter. And she had to have one of the cats from the shelter sleep over at the apartment. Well, also my other cat is here, Donut, this agent of chaos that she is. And for those who don't know, introducing new cats to each other is not easy. You have to keep them separated for up to a week. The earliest. So it's not fun. And thankfully it was only for one night and early this morning. But other than that, it was just... And then the Seahawks fan base proceeds to go apeshit and then lose their ever-loving mind when Geno Smith gets traded, Tyler Lockett gets released, DK Metcalf requested a trade, and then the Islanders fan base, like clockwork, oh, look, it's that time of day again. They're going to go absolutely insane because they want everyone fired. They want to be the San Jose Sharks of the Eastern Conference, just complete and total dog crap. But
yeah, we'll start there with the NHL trade deadline. It came and went on, I guess it was Friday. And trades happened, and your guy, Brock Nelson, he got traded, and a lot of Islanders fans, some are upset that he got traded. Some are like, well, let's sell the whole bunch. We're not doing anything anyways. Let's get some return of our investment, return of the assets, not just lose them. There's people who say, well, we're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. Why not try to make the playoffs and see if maybe win around you? Because to me, the East is, I know you're pretty top heavy with the two Florida teams and then everybody else, but there is an opening there to maybe win a round or two. You just never know. And for the Islanders to say, you know what, let's get rid of our guy. We're not going to end up like 2018 with John Tavares. Let's see what we can do and see what we can get. What side of the fence do you sit on? Do you hold on to guys and make the playoffs, or is it wholesale time? And two, did they get enough for Brock Nelson?
They got more than what I thought they were going to get for Brock Nelson. They got the Avalanche's top prospect in Cal Ritchie, I think his name was.
Yeah.
They got up to 2 first-round picks for Brock Nelson, which I was stunned when I saw that news. And I was expecting more trades to be incoming because, the East is wide open aside from Washington, Florida, Tampa, sort of, and to a degree Toronto. But other than that, it's just everyone else is kind of the same. You got the Rangers that have 68 points right now. The Blue Jackets have 68 points. The Devils are in free fall. The Hurricanes just traded Mikko Rantanen after trading for him.
Yeah, that's a big oops.
Well, that's also on management, to be honest here. But and then the Islanders are like, well, we have a shot to go do something here. But at the same point, if I'm not saying they should make wholesale fire sale. If what Lou says is true, that, hey, big change is going to be coming, I don't know if he's going to step down. I don't know if the core is going to get blown up. I don't know. Because we never know with Lou. We have learned this from the Devils of the 80s and the 90s. He doesn't say a peep. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And as we've also learned from Papa George Steinbrenner, he says nothing. He says nothing what's going on. All he wants is to win. Don't blame him. But at certain points, you have to go and say, okay, what can we get in terms of value from these guys? I think Horvat, Sorokin, Romanov, and to a certain degree, Barzal are untradeable. Untradeable. I say to a certain degree Barzal because other than, his constant turnovers, his inability to shoot the puck, being very pass happy, he's pretty much your best player. Which, aside from Sorokin, that says a lot. But, again, I don't know if they're going to... His contract is very easily to work with. For God's sakes, I mean, look at... What is it? People were talking about trading for Mitch Marner at the deadline. It is $11 million per year contract.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen was looking to get, what was it, $14 million from the Avalanche or from the Hurricanes? And then he pwned it up into 12 from Dallas.
The Marner deal is kind of surprising because the Leafs are in a pretty good spot, not a great spot. I mean, they're the Leafs; they're going to leave it no matter what. You can't see it. They got kind of told who were the big boys in town were last night by the Avalanche. But like Marner, there was rumors that he was offered around at the deadline a little bit because he's flat, and that was a surprise to me because I didn't think that was going to happen because he's a homegrown kid, and the Leafs are in a pretty good spot, like I said. And then there was some rumors that there was a few teams that made some calls, and Marner had to say, "No, I'm not going," which is an odd thing to have a player there that you need him. Like the Leafs need him to do any kind of a run, but they are also shopping him a little bit because, well, we can't lose him for nothing. So where are we? Like that, and like a lot of these NHL teams have that problem right now because everything's the lower salary cap and every team the parity, I guess, you have throughout the league. So everybody kind of thinks they have a spot, but then a lot of teams saying maybe we aren't as good as we thought, and the business end of it's more important than anything else.
Here's your problem with the Leafs, though. Here's your problem with the Leafs. They're very top heavy, and that's about it. That's it. It's Nylander, Marner, Matthews, and that's about it. Like, they don't have... Like, Tavares, say what you want about him. He's still a good player.
Very good player.
Even at 35, even at 34, 35 years old, he was elected captain for 5 years for a reason. Because he's, aside from Matthews, he's their best player. And I get why they are looking around and saying, hey, what's Tavares' worth? What's Marner's worth? Because other than, Morgan Riley, they have no defenseman.
Well, Riley's awfully cold around his part of the world. Plus minus isn't a thing anymore that much for some reason, but he's a minus 15, and that's not for your top defenseman. That's not very good.
No, it's not good at all.
The Leafs are like they're the Leafs. I don't expect them to go very far. Like you look what an interesting trade that happened. How much you follow that, but the Marchand leaving the Bruins, I heard that there was rumblings and rumors that he was going, but for him, a lifelong Bruin and all-time great, he'll have his number up in the rafters the whole bit. For him to say, over a couple $1 million that they couldn't come up with a AAV on him, I was kind of shocked that the Bruins said bye. But then you go, you know what? he all of a sudden, like, he's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as good as he used to be. Age catches up to you, but to have a guy like that in your dressing room and a guy that you don't want on you hate him, but you'd love to have him on your team, for him to say, I guarantee it was like, yeah, the Panthers are interested, and he probably said, yeah, sign me up to give myself a chance to win a Stanley Cup. Why not? Because you only got the one in 2011, right?
That one interests me. Yeah, the one against Vancouver. Yeah. That one interests me a lot because Florida didn't need him. They wanted him. My father would always dictate the meaning of life is between needs and wants.
Yeah.
Florida didn't need him. They wanted him. They wanted an agitator that's going to also give you 60 points, 70 points, 50 assists, 20 goals. He's going to get you points. Even at 36 years old, he's still going to get you some points. Hell, look at Ovi. What is he, 38? He's closing in on the all-time goals record. Which you ask someone that 15 years ago, no one would have said that.
The thing about the Panthers getting a guy like Marchand is Kachuk's on the LTI arc for whatever happened to the Four Nations face-off there, and so that helps a lot because now they have money to spend there, and they did it at the deadline. It was a great move by Florida to go out and do that. And you wonder you wonder about this LTIR thing and why more teams don't take advantage of that. Kucherov with Tampa a few years ago, and then Stone in Vegas for a couple of times now. You wonder why more teams don't just go, why don't you just take a couple of months off and get yourself ready for the playoffs so we can save some money here and there and everywhere?
Yeah.
And then you want guys ready to go in the playoffs, because jumping into playoff hockey that's a whole nother beast, because hockey's to win the Stanley Cup, I think, is one of the toughest things to do.
Hardest thing to do.
You got to win. You got to win four games 4 times, right? And
hardest
we
thing
talked
to do
about before is like you to win the Super Bowl, you got to win 4 games. You got to do that 4 times to win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
So you got to have guys going and guys with their legs behind them, but having some guys with a little bit of rest behind them after 82 game grind might not be the worst idea either.
No, it's not the worst idea in the world either. But there was rumblings around that say, hey, that the NHL, that the commissioner and the owners committee might be taking a look at that, but I don't see how that's going to go away. Because at the end of the day, the NHL owners are cheap. They save more money at the end of the day by putting, a Mark Stone or Nikita Kucherov or Steven Stamkos years ago on LTIR, gets more cap space back. It's a weird loophole in the NHL cap system, but it benefits a lot of teams. And you're right. I don't see how, more teams don't end up taking advantage of it down the road. I mean, Florida's going to be really tough to beat come playoff time. If Kachuk does end up coming back for the playoffs, which he might, him and Marchand.
I don't think there's a might there. I think there's a will there.
It's a will.
I don't think Marchand agrees to that deal if he didn't know some insider information saying, well, why would I go when I could just stay here where I've always been? I can pretty much pick and choose where I went. You wonder if the Leafs inquired a little bit about Marchand. He'd be a great addition to the Leafs, but there's such a hatred.
I don't see
with
that.
Boston and Toronto. You just wonder, because it would help the Leafs. There's no or he would help a lot of there isn't a team he wouldn't have helped.
Here's the thing.
Would the fan base have allowed that?
Oh my God. Thing. I want the Maple Leafs to win a Stanley Cup so bad, because their fan base that I have seen has been insufferable, because I feel bad for them. I genuinely feel bad for Leaf Nation, because every stinking year for the last 10 years now, they've had really good teams on up and down all throughout the ice, going into the playoffs and then losing in the first round or getting bounced by a really good team like, say, or a Boston, a Florida, Tampa.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. But you look at this team and you go, okay, offensively, they're fine. They're fine. They're going to give you 5 goals pretty much at a given. But they're going to give up 4 or 5 or 6 goals a night. There's your problem.
mean, you can't put their intangibles. You can't put a finger on like, yeah, you have this, you have that. Well, okay, yeah, they have intangibles, they don't. Like, but then this team has the best player in the world, so they go to the finals. So what do intangibles actually mean? Like, it's who knows? It's just every city has a different idea what intangibles are. But like you look at teams that just have the wherewithal to go out and make these deals, like Nelson going to Colorado. They got just as good a shot right now to win Stanley Cups as anybody.
Yeah, they have a great roster top to bottom.
And they traded Rantanen. They said, all right, well, see you later.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's odd to me that can go, well, you know what? We feel strong enough with the rest of our group that, okay, yeah, you're going to want too much money. We're going to set up for the long term. And a lot of teams, like, how they can't being mediocre is such a slippery slope, just making the playoffs. And like I go back to the Islanders there, just making the playoffs every year eventually catches up to you, or getting that 17th pick or getting that 10th pick. Because after, like we talked about the time you're on the show, unless you're a top 5 or 6 pick, what are you? Really?
Yeah.
And I think that goes for all sports, not just hockey.
Yeah.
But if you are constantly just making the playoffs or just missing out, what are you doing? Because you're getting those middle of the pack players. You're not going to be signing free agents who are saying, yeah, this team's close. This team's got it. These guys are all making more money than they ever thought they'd make. So why would they consider going to a team that's mediocre? Because a lot of these guys eventually they want to win something.
Which is why I thought if your opportunity was to pull a fire sale and say, hey, trade Palmera, you trade Noah Dobson, you find and get something for, I don't know, pick a card out of the hat here, a Matt Barzal. I have been in favor of, hey, exploring what's out there for Matt Barzal. Because if Matt Barzal were on Edmonton or on Winnipeg, as a perfect example, he'd be a 100-point player every year. Absolutely. Anyone who says that, you're crazy. Because Matt Barzal has really good wingers, or you could put him on the wing and he's just as effective, if not more effective, because you got Horvat in the middle on his line, and then Simon Holmstrom's been great. Simon Holmstrom was a first-round pick a few years ago. He's 22 years old? He's blossomed into a really good, solid two-way player. He reminds me almost as, I don't want to throw his name out there and say, oh, he's like this guy, but like he reminds you a little bit of Patrice Bergeron, which he's going to get you, what is it, 30 goals a season, but also like 60 points, but also solid defensively. Holmstrom's been solid defensively as
those
a
guys
winger.
win you Stanley Cups.
They do.
Right?
They really do. Like, you can score 50, 60 goals a season all you want, but if you're not winning playoff games, if you're not like
Austin Matthews,
Artemi Panarin, perfect example. Artemi Panarin signed a 7-year deal with the New York Rangers. He has 4 goals total in the playoffs since going to Manhattan. Like, if you can't score in the playoffs,
Mitch Marner, same thing.
Mitch Marner,
disappears.
yeah, it's crazy, but they're still getting paid a lot of money because at the end, regular season, as much as we love to point out, oh, the regular season stats, blah, 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 it doesn't freaking matter. Do you want to know why? Florida, a few years ago, were the last team to make the playoffs, took out the President's Trophy winning Bruins, made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
Probably could have won it if they didn't run to Vegas.
No, it's crazy. Like and then you have like the people like that you're saying, like, you break it down and rebuild. And then you got other guys saying, well, let's make the playoffs. And it's such a fine slope. You see teams that do fire sale.
Yeah.
And then I've always thought that, like, if a team decides to fire sale and there's something to look forward to, if somehow the marketing machine can tell you that, okay, here's what we're looking for in the future and here's what we're going to do, I think you'd have a lot more people maybe jumping on board with it. Because What are we doing? Like, I'm not going to go to 10 games a year. I'm going to 2. Like, it's just if you're going to be what are we doing? But if there's something to look forward to and some prospects like San Jose, yeah, they lost to last night the Islander, but San Jose's in a pretty good spot with that.
They are, which is weird.
And they got a really good young core. And I saw listeners, I can't remember what show it was the other day, that they're right there, and they're pretty tough team to play against.
Celebrini a good player too.
So why not break it down and do something like that and have your team something to look forward to? Being mediocre, it's king of a third world country. What's the point?
You want to avoid being Anaheim. That's why. You want to avoid being Anaheim, which is you're still holding on to those players like, the Corey Perry a few years ago. They're still holding. They could get a lot for Trevor Zegras. They will not do it. They could get a lot for John Gibson 4 years ago. They will not do it. Thank God they traded Cam Fowler, because after 15 years, that guy said, I'm done. I want to go win something. You got traded to St. Louis. Can you imagine if Anaheim called, I don't know, say Detroit right now and said, hey, how much are you willing to give for John Gibson? You put John Gibson on, you put John Gibson on the Oilers, Edmonton wins a cup. He's that good of a goaltender despite his record and despite his save percentage.
Yeah, you look how far the Oilers got last year with old Stuart Skinner, and that.
Yeah.
He's, I never thought he's good. Like, he's obviously
he's okay.
But he's I think because he played his junior hockey here in Lethbridge. I've always just thought he was big. Personally, I just thought he was just like that's NHL goaltending. Now it's a lot different than it was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, he's not like Ben Bishop where he's like 6'8".
Yeah, just big. Pucks hit him, right? They don't make safe passes like those guys. No, it's a confusing state in the National Hockey League because everybody, and then having the parity. I don't think it's. Is there parity? Like, is there 10 teams that you think, yeah, they're a cup contender? Yeah, they're the stats may say they are, but is anybody really scared of the Columbus Blue Jackets? Is anybody like, how much do you believe? Like, the Capitals are right there, but how much do you really believe that the Capitals are going to do anything?
I do.
Do you like Ovechkin's not really even playing hockey? He's just scoring goals.
That's the thing. Like, up there. They're winning they were winning basically without him for a hot minute.
And he gets out, he gets out there after breaking a leg, and he's still effective. He's scoring goals like you alluded to earlier, and going after that goals record, which I hope he gets that, and you'll see what happens. But I don't know how much I'm scared of the Washington Capitals because they're kind of, they came out of nowhere, so you don't really go, hey, this is a team that's going to do something.
But you mentioned Washington, and you look at teams like in the NFL perspective, like. We look at wide receiver by committee. For years, it was running back by committee type of teams were being built. San Francisco made a living off of that. With Kyle Shanahan early on, they had Raheem Mostert, they had Tevin Coleman, they had Jeff Wilson, they had who the hell was it? Jarrett McKinnon for a hot minute for a cup of coffee. They had 4, maybe 5 running backs you can go to and say, okay, they can give us 700 or 800 yards of total of. Maybe 1,000 yards from scrimmage total, 5 touchdowns, and we'll win 13 games. Like you see, and you're starting to see in the NFL, it's also wide receiver by committee. Kansas City. Who's the number 1 receiver for the Chiefs? You can't name it. It's either Xavier Worthy or someone else. But they don't have a number 1 receiver. With Washington and the Capitals in the NHL, you're starting to see, okay, goal scoring and defense by committee. You're starting to see it where it's like, okay, it's not just top heavy. Yeah, they have Pierre-Luc Dubois. Yeah, they have Alex Ovechkin. Yeah, they have Tom Wilson. Yeah, they still have John Carlson, who seems to be immortal at this point. He's 35, 36, but he's immortal. And their goaltenders are Charlie Lindgren, pretty damn good goaltender. He came out of nowhere last year, got the Capitals to the playoffs. Granted, got smoked by the Rangers, but, the Rangers. But they're going to be good for a while. And who's their head coach? Don't know. Couldn't tell you. And that's the other thing. Coaching matters. It's not just a name. It could be anyone. It could be some random dude off the side of the street. I don't remember who the Capitals head coach is off the top of my head. Give me 2 seconds to figure that out.
I can picture him. I can't remember his name because, like you said, he came out of nowhere, and I like that move that a lot of these teams are going to guys who haven't been in the league before instead of just recycling guys from this team to that team and this team to that. Because they if you didn't have success anywhere, why should I believe in this guy? If you didn't win over here, why should you? Like, you don't get hired from a job somewhere just because you like your resume. It should be you get fired from one job. You can't be that fucking good. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just one of those things, right? There he is. Yeah,
Spencer Carver is the Capitals head coach, but he's 43 years old. He looks to be like he's in his 20s.
Yeah,
unbelievable. He's done a fantastic job with the Capitals, and even better, Winnipeg. Perfect example. Who the hell was it? Their previous head coach,
Paul Maurice.
No, the from last year. I can't remember his name, but
Rick Bowness.
Rick Bowness retired. And then their head coach, who's a rookie, Scott Arnell.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets might win the President's Trophy this year.
They're really good
with a rookie head coach.
Once again, do you give them much? Because they failed the playoffs with this group before, so the West is pretty open.
They
too.
scare me.
But they're really, and they have one of the top 3, 4 goaltenders in the world with hell of it. Like the Jets. Yeah. But I don't have any faith in the Jets because they haven't done it before. They haven't gotten there before. They haven't gotten the finals, and so like they're just the Jets. Like you can kind of say it like how the New York Mets are. They're the Mets. You don't like they can make all these deals, all these moves, and look good, but at the end of the day, the Mets are the Mets.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what are you going to do?
No, I agree with you on that part. But but there's something that Winnipeg does so well is that they move the puck exceptionally well, and they do it like, oh, it's over there now. Like blink of an eye.
Yeah, they
fly everywhere.
Really, yeah, no, the Jets they're just going to shot anybody in the West. I mean,
they do. They do. And if you were to tell me several years ago that, we're going to trade Patrick Laine, who was the number 2 overall pick a few years ago, for Pierre-Luc Dubois, then he's going to go to Los Angeles or sign and trade with Los Angeles, and then he's going to get flipped to Washington, and then we're still going to be good?
Yeah.
Forget it, because that almost never works out in the NHL.
No, it's so tough because like all these guys, like there are a lot of guys the same player, right? Like they're fast and skilled, and they what do they bring, right? Because they're all taught this hockey the same way. So it's just like getting that kind of that grit, and that's I think that acquisition of Marchand is so big for Florida because he has that playoff grit and that playoff and playing the Olympics and everything else he's done for Team Canada over the years. He's that kind of a guy, and it's great. Did you a couple weeks back I was talking to some people actually just after the Four Nations face off there, and I said, geez, it wouldn't surprise me to see Sidney Crosby maybe get moved because he's only got so many years and left in him. Did that ever cross your mind? Maybe Sid would ask to say see you later because he's a competitor, likes to win, as you saw for Team Canada there against the U.S. Now, what a heck of a couple of hockey games that was. But you just because Sid's going to a dead end. They're not making playoffs this year. They're probably not making the playoffs next year, and then that's it. Like that's it for his career, probably, right? So, like, did you ever think, you know what? Maybe go to Colorado because he played with McKinnon from there. It's the same hometown, Cole Harbor. Did you ever think maybe somebody would? Do you think there was a phone call or a text from somebody saying, the old 2 a.m, hey, you up?
At this point, anything's possible. Pittsburgh is in such a strange spot because you look at the roster in Pittsburgh and you go, how are they this bad? But then you talk to any rational Pittsburgh citizen, they will tell you, we've seen this coming. It's the same thing with the Steelers. We've seen this coming. They roll around the same crap every year. Nothing changes every year. Blah, 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 blah. Letang's been there for 20 years. Malkin's been there for 20 years. Crosby's been there for 20 years. I don't know why they give Tristan Jarry that extension, but more power to you. Alex Nedeljkovic, not that long ago, he was the Hurricanes' top goaltender. Not that long ago. Now, perennial backup. It's a shame. It's a dang shame. And Pittsburgh should blow it up. They should just fire everyone, but they will never do it. Name me one situation for any of the Pittsburgh teams, football, baseball, hockey, that they decide to say, screw it, we're going to tank. Never.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation for a generational guy like Crosby and for obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. And like, do you stick around because you're faithful, or do you stick around because it's good? It's good for the city of Pittsburgh, and they were loyal to him, and everything he has in his life he owes to the Pittsburgh Penguins, or everything the Pittsburgh Penguins have right now they owe to Sidney Crosby. Like it's kind of a two-way street there. So would an amicable split be the worst thing?
Well, the Kyle Dubas.
I don't think any
job.
No, I think any Pittsburgh Penguins fan would be like, "Thanks, Sid. Thanks for the memories, and go and do something to finish your career." But on the other, is the grass always greener? No, it's just different. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantee. So if you stick, he's just kind of mired in mediocrity there in Detroit. Like do you just play to play, or do you play to win, or do you play to grow the team that got you there? There's so many factors that there's so many things that factor into that. I'm not blaming Crosby for sticking around Pittsburgh.
No,
but I'm kind of saying, Jesus, man, like what are you doing?
Well, at the same point, I get it, because regardless if he wants to go to, I don't know, Detroit or some shit. Like, if he wants to get traded to the Red Wings, or wants to get traded to Colorado, or traded to Montreal or something like that. Terrible idea. But, you get my point, is regardless of what happens, he's going in the Hall of Fame first ballot. 3-time champion, multiple-time MVP, one of the 10 greatest players to ever lace up the skates. Easy. Maybe 15
higher, but yeah, he's really that's just, you just wonder, like, geez, what am I doing?
Also, he one of the biggest crybabies in NHL history.
He ranks up there. He has his moments.
Don't believe me? How many rules? It's like Tom Brady. How many rules have been implemented or changed because of one guy?
He's one of the best all time.
He's one of the best all time. There's no denying that. But come on. It's like the Brady thing. Chris Jones still has beef with Tom Brady. I guarantee you, because you tapped him on the shoulder, bam, 15-year penalty. Come on.
That whole thing. I don't like you hate to see guys get their heads knocked off, and the concussions and the CTE and all the stuff that we know now that we didn't know 30 years ago. I get it. But there's also an inherent risk that comes with playing in a professional sport, right? Like, is it a license to go out there and kill? No. But it is a license to go out there and get killed. No. So there has to be more of a line in the sand, and that this is it. Because like I said, there is an inherent risk in all professional sports when you go out there, and it's just part of the paycheck, I guess. You hate to say that, but it's part of the paycheck. I know I'll never get a concussion and by going to work, because that's just how in the line of work that I have now. I shouldn't say never, but you know what I'm getting at. But these guys don't, it's just part of it. It's just part of that paycheck. It's just I don't know the exact words I'm looking for, but it's just part of it. Like, the NFL went to a totally different thing, and the way that every ref calls and every game's a little bit different. And how it's odd. It's really odd how the rules have really changed over the years to protect the players. Now, any kind of hit at all, it is a penalty.
Ooh.
And hockey's the same way. Any big hit at all turns into a fight.
I got a question for you.
It's just different. Yeah.
I got a great question for you to pick your brain. And this is a good name for your audience. Do you remember a player by the name of Jack Tatum?
A little bit, yeah.
So Jack Tatum played with the Raiders in the 70s. He was nicknamed the Assassin for very good reason. Back in the mid-70s, the Raiders were playing the Patriots, and I forget the name of the player that he hit, but he hit this guy so hard, the Patriots player ended up being paralyzed. So, if Jack Tatum, God bless him, if Jack Tatum were alive and played in today's league, he'd be banned by the first snap. The rules have been changed so much to benefit offensive players and to benefit the safety. I get the safety part. But when you got like various corners or something like that, they're throwing their arms in the air and say, what the hell? What are we supposed to do? We can't play the ball. We can't play our position. You got defensive linemen like Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor is famously not only for being arguably the greatest defensive player ever, but he broke Joe Theismann's leg like a toothpick.
I remember watching that live actually as a kid, and it make my. I still, when I see those kind of injuries, it still makes me vomit. Like it literally makes me.
You can hear that. If you watch the tape over again from '86, you can still hear the leg break on. You can still hear the mics pick it up. It was so loud. I remember watching that for the first time. You hear, was that his leg I just heard? Like it sounded like a gunshot. It was unbelievable.
Those ones send me to Queasy Street to this day. When whenever you see a knee bend that's not supposed to, and I can't stand that shit.
Jimmy Graham years ago tore his patellar tendon, and that against the Steelers, and that makes me irk still. And then Peyton Manning broke his neck against Washington 2010.
Yeah,
that was the start of his years of neck surgery. But like but to go on back to the point of the NFL has changed so many rules to benefit offense. And I think you're starting to see Philadelphia this past season. Perfect example. You'll see a lot of teams start to implement what the Eagles are doing. Copycat league. What do you expect?
Well, it works, right?
It works, but you're going to see, oh, snap, we can actually build teams with 3 or 4 good running backs and 5 or 6 good receivers, but a great offensive and defensive line is how you win. I mean, for God's sakes, other than Darius Slay, they have average corners in Philadelphia and pretty dang good safeties. And their linebackers are good, except for Zach Bond, but they're good. But the rest of that front seven, as dominant as I've seen in a long time. And I witnessed Seahawks teams from years ago, the second coming of the Orange Crush in 2015 with the Broncos. Some Patriots teams were really dang good. The Rams. I've seen some really good defensive lines. But Philadelphia's, good God, they're just animals. But you'll start to see copycat teams go, oh, snap, let's throw $30 million between 2 guys at wide receiver and build $100 million offensive line. You'll see it. You will see it.
And it worked, right?
It worked.
So why not?
Why the hell not?
And you win it. And I've talked to other people before, like on different shows, and when you win a championship, that gives you 6-7 years to be okay, right? That gives you you can be okay for 6 or 7 years after that. Like the Eagles are set up to be a little bit different, but when you win one, your GM's going to be good for a lot of years. Your coach can be good for a lot of years. Ownership's going to get a free pass for a lot of years because the fan base isn't going to bite back because it's recent, right? All the good things is recent. So, hey, You know what? Look what we did, because winning's hard, right? Yeah. Winning it's hard, no matter what sport, it's hard. So if you get that free pass for a few years, like you look at the Chicago Cubs, I mean, it took them 100 years or whatever it was, but it's starting to go away now. It's starting to go away now where the Cubs fans like, okay, like that was fun, but that's also 10 years ago.
So,
right? So let's do something here.
Let's bring up one of our teams
for a long time. Right?
Let's bring up one of our teams. Your favorite baseball team, I can see all through the back of you. The Yankees. I mean, I have been a big proprietor for a number of years on my program. They need to get rid of Brian Cashman. Because Brian Cashman has been notorious for big game hunting, and most of the time not panning out. Don't believe me? Joey Gallo, to a certain degree, Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton for the first few years of his tenure with the Yankees. Nelson Cruz, like it, for the most part, it has not panned out. Yeah, you can point Alex Rodriguez, but yeah, he won a World Series with the Yankees, but for the most part, his career with the Yankees has been up and down. You know what I'm saying, though? It's where does it go to and say, oh, maybe this style of winning isn't going to work anymore. We need to change something.
If you're gonna, like, the thing about, like, a week ago, I was talking. I think I just told I did a solo show by myself. I was like, you know what, the Yankees are in a pretty good spot. And then Heel got hurt, and now Cole's out. Stanton, I thought, was going to come back. But it's like, you know what, that's okay. But you lose two starters. Where are you going to get starting pitching from? Starting pitching is a premium throughout the league. The only team that doesn't have a problem is the Dodgers. They just went out and got a bunch. So like,
Garrett Cole, my Tommy John.
Like the Yankees' business plan is quite flawed because you go over to the salary cap or the salary, whatever, the luxury spending, whatever you want to call it.
Unbelievable.
But if you're going to go over by $10, you might as well go over by $100 million. Really?
Yeah.
It's the same penalties when it comes down to it. And so you just go, what are they doing? And I thought they were in a good spot, but now all of a sudden your farm system's depleted. You don't have anybody coming up. There's nothing to look forward to.
Spencer
now.
Jones, I think, is going to be good.
I don't want to say there's nothing to look forward to because they're still the Yankees, and you can still might get something going. And like you said, before we started recording, like it's all right. Well, the trade deadline, but how many people want to dance to the Yankees? If they don't have anything to trade, and because prospects are only prospects, right? You don't know what you're going to get. And with arm injuries and everything, like it's just there's a lot going on, and for the Yankees to not have anything of substance. Yeah, they went to the World Series last year, and they're a drop ball away from going to Game 6. I don't know. So a week ago, I was very, very optimistic, and then a week later, actually even on Thursday, I was on a show with Jared over the corner booth there, and I said, you know what, they still got a good spot, and it took one guy. 24 hours later, not even, it was 12 hours later that we're done recording. And it's like, well, that sucks, and then one guy's gone and then that's it. So now you got to rely on Marcus Stroman. He's not the guy to get you over the hump.
By the way, Long Island native Marcus Stroman.
Yeah. So you just go, okay, what the hell is going on with the Yankees? And now you got nothing. And now you hate to be that guy, say, well, winning's it's a Yankee thing. Well, it's not.
No.
It's not.
No,
it's just not anymore. And people talk about those 27 championships. Well, half of them were done or more than half of them were done when there was 15 teams in the freaking league, right? Like it's so it's nice to say 27 times world champion, but how many were there's only been X amount of since I've been a Yankee fan. So right, is winning a Yankee thing? I don't think it is.
No, which
they had a great run with Jeter and those guys. But the rest of the time, people forget before Jeter came around, those teams were horrible in the 80s.
Yeah, the early 90s,
Early 90s as well. So really, is winning a Yankee thing? No. Is there a heightened sense of arrogance with Yankee fans? Yeah. There is, because you go to games in the Bronx and you watch people, they're more worried about their freaking Instagram and TikTok videos than they are about watching the games. So are the Yankees, is there a Yankee fan base that's half, I don't want to use the R word, but I'll say ridiculous instead. Yeah.
I mean, I have used that meme too many times on my program.
Right? So. Like it's like what are they?
At this point.
like what are the Yankees? Really? They're a brand. The Yankees are more of a brand than they are about winning championships.
They are the Lakers.
Right?
They're the Lakers.
Like that's a good point. You watched that doc, that great thing. It was on HBO or Netflix.
Winning Time. Yeah.
Winning Time. It was a fantastic thing, but really, Magic Johnson won one championship.
Yeah.
Or did he get two? So what were they? They were a brand. The Lakers were a brand, and I was a Lakers guy back in the 80s. That's how old I am.
Oh,
what they do? Nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
The Miami Heat, perfect. Like, well, to a certain degree, I mean. Pat Riley has been still a notorious winner for his entire tenure with the Miami Heat. But after a certain point, you have to go, okay, we need to save money for the future long term, because It's like the Yankees are like credit cards. Yeah, it's nice to have them, and you could blow $400, here and there on a game console or tickets to a sporting event or a comedy show or a concert or whatever the hell, or a nice dinner at like a 5-star restaurant in New York City or whatever. But then eventually it comes back to bite you. And then all of a sudden, bam, you got $6,000 in debt. Shit. What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do I got for it?
Yeah, what do I got for it? I got pain and crap for this. For a year. For maybe 2 years. A year if you're lucky, 2 years at most. But it's a pain in the ass. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, you want your team to win. And I've called out a number of Islander fans that have said, oh, the Islanders should go fire Lou. They should do this. They should do that. And I respond with one thing and one thing only. So go run the team. You think you know what's best for the Islanders? Go run the team. I've talked about that to wrestling fans. And they said, oh, Triple H sucks at booking. Oh, Tony Khan sucks at booking, or whatever. Scott D'Amore with TNA sucks at booking. So go book the show then. So go book the show. You think you know better than the guy that's getting paid millions and millions of dollars to go run a professional sports league? Go run the team. Shut your mouth and go. I'm not saying fans don't have a right to have an opinion on what's best for their team, but after a while, you sound like an arrogant prick, to be honest here.
Well, that's just it. Like, it's easy to say, go out and get this guy, go out and that guy, go get that guy, go get this guy, sign it, and have Hall of Famers up down your lineup.
We're notorious for that. Yankee fans are notorious for that.
Like, all of a sudden, you have a payroll of $600 million. Okay, then what? You don't win, then what?
Yep.
So
the
$600 million. So, okay, all of a sudden, you want to go to a game? You want to go to a game, Miss Instagram, Miss TikTok? You ain't getting in.
Yeah.
You know what that would cost?
$2,000 for
to
one
go
ticket.
to a game. Like, it's ridiculous to have all. And the thing is, not. And I hate to break it to you, Yankee fans. I hate to break it to you, but here's some breaking news on a Sunday morning. Not everybody wants to be a New York Yankee. The weather ain't that great,
especially around this time of the year.
Hey,
yeah,
you're 19 days away from opening day. There's a good chance it could snow. Right?
Unfortunately, you're right. Unfortunately, you're right.
You got a good, people want to play in San Diego. People want to play in LA. People want to play in Texas. People want to play in Houston. Yeah. Weather's nice all year long.
Tampa.
Cost of living.
Yeah.
Different. Taxes.
Yeah.
On and on it goes. Not everybody wants to put pinstripes on. Hey,
unfortunate.
Yankee fans, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And this mystique that the Yankees are this, and this is my team, so I can say it. Not everybody wants to be there.
No.
There's people people were talking about Vladdy Guerrero Jr. going to the Yankees.
Why? Literally going. Why?
He's not going. He actually, because this goes back to when his dad, Vladdy Sr. played, they shunned him. So he said, you know what? I'm not going either. Basically the same thing as Griffey. Griffey didn't want to be a Yankee either because it's something that happened with his dad. So not everybody wants to be a Yankee. So you can't just say, yeah, go get him, go get him, go get him, go get him. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You can only have so many position players and so many positions. Like it's the arrogance of not all, but of some Yankee fans. It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
They aren't. You hate to bring up that, it's the evil empire and George's day back when everybody would be a Yankee, but now things are just different. Kids are built different now.
Times change. Times change. You'd be surprised in how many
costs of living and they're making millions, but
don't remind me.
But if you can save yourself $20, you can save $20.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got $200 million in the bank. If you can save money, you're going to save it. That's just that's human nature.
Do you see my gaming collection behind me? Do you see all this crap behind me? That's over the course of 25 freaking years. Okay? A lot of that crap over there, I have gotten into damn near verbal arguments with my fiance Because she will say, you have too many games. And I politely say, go piss off. You have too much Jonas Brothers stuff. Touche. Two can play this game. But the point is that, like, it's the cost of living has gotten so ridiculous to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm very lucky to have all these things. But at the same point where, like, the mystique of just, oh, I have this crap starts to wear off. You know, it's like the Yankees. I think that was a bad analogy, but like the Yankees mystique is gone. It's gone because of teams like the Dodgers, Houston, Dallas, the Rangers. You know, to a certain degree, Tampa. What do they all have in common? Nice places to live. San Diego. Anaheim, bad example. But, like, you know, it's...
But that's an owner.
You know what I mean?
Not a place problem.
You're going to get paid in Anaheim, but you're going to suck as a team. Thanks, Artie.
Like, it's just like you're getting into year 6, I think, of Cole, right?
Oh.
So and there's a good chance he's out. So you'll get into year 7. You're getting into this is year 2 of Judge at 34 years old, whatever it is. So you might as well write this year off. You hate to do it on March the 9th, but things aren't looking very good right now compared to, like I said, a week ago. So now you're getting into the last how many years of his contract. Everybody knows they're going to be tough. That's with every baseball player how it works. Every athlete, that's how it works. When you price yourself out, and then you overpay in the first few years to make sure you're getting some bargain in the last few years. And so now, like, so it's going to be tough, and like it's you're one player away, and that's the tough thing about baseball is when you pay a pitcher or anybody this kind of money, and you're dependent on this one person, and what you're dependent on one elbow. You're dependent on one elbow blowing up, and then well, I guess we're hoping for a wild card spot because Boston loaded up this year.
Yeah, those Red Sox are going to be good.
So one elbow injury 2 days ago. Well, and every pitcher is subject to it now.
Yeah, the NBA learned this very quickly after the super team era, where you look at teams like Oklahoma City. The Thunder are stupid good. They might have the MVP of the entire league in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He might be the league MVP this year. Look at Denver. Look at teams like the Knicks, the Celtics, Cleveland. You know, what do they all have in common? They are not top heavy. They're not. You'll see, and also in baseball, there are certain teams like San Diego. Well, kind of. What's a better example? Boston, the Red Sox. Who's their best player? Who is it? Who is the Red Sox best player? Okay, there's my point. There's my point. The Red Sox are going to win 95 to 100 games this year because they have a bunch of guys that can hit you 290 to 300 while also batting in 80 RBIs, 30 home runs, but they'll still win 95 to 100 games because they have gobs of talent all around the field. All around the field. Florida, they're not top heavy. They got talent everywhere.
Yeah.
And the Panthers in the NHL. Talent
everywhere.
everywhere.
Guy can stop pucks.
Washington.
Right.
Washington. Perfect. They got talent everywhere. And they got above average to really good goaltending on both starter and backup. Winnipeg. There's another one.
Yeah.
More top heavy the goaltending part, but they got talent everywhere. In football, Philadelphia, they got talent everywhere. Granted, they bought it, but still, most of the guys that they brought in on the defensive line were homegrown guys. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, okay, Cooper DeJean. They got guys everywhere that you can go to and say, oh, that was a draft pick. That was a draft pick. That was a trade acquisition. That was a free agent. But they're not top heavy. They're not top heavy. A majority of teams' problems, which is, you'll get to the Super Bowl. You'll get to the NBA Finals with Patrick Mahomes or LeBron James, but you could get smoked by a team like Oklahoma City or Philadelphia. Because they're teams. There's no I in team. That analogy is real. It's the super team era was a great time for teams like Golden State or Miami, or to a certain degree, the Lakers. For 20 years, it was great. But after a while, it finally caught up to them like, oh, snap, we're terrible. Because we spent all of our money in 2 guys or 3 guys.
Then what? You know, and if you're not going to, and it's that's an impossible thing. Like there's dynasties other than the Chiefs. Like in sport hasn't happened a lot in the last 20 years. Well, they used to be dropping dynasties everywhere, but a dynasty like the Chiefs doesn't because they had the best player.
Well, to a degree, the Patriots. The Patriots had 15 to 20 years of dominance. Dominance. We will never see that again.
There hasn't been any kind of a dynasty really, because it's tough.
No team other than the Yankees of like the 30s and the 40s remotely comes close to the Patriots.
Would you scrolling through Twitter before we started doing this morning, and I saw old Trevor Bauer popping off to the Yankees, basically saying, I know a guy you can get for free. Okay, first off, you're not going to play for free because you're an idiot. So don't say that. And
no
then
one's playing for free.
Secondly, if you're the GM of a team, do you because I mean the internet's a funny thing. Because it's out there. Don't remind me. But as soon as a team starts winning, or this guy starts doing good, all of his past can be forgotten until it's not. Would you take a flyer on a guy like Trevor Bauer?
Hell yeah, I would. You know why? Because he's a damn good pitcher. Can you do the job? Okay, fine, whatever. Look at Josh Gordon. How many chances did Josh Gordon get? Tyreek Hill. I could go down a rant of Tyreek Hill and all of his stupidity and all of his bullshittery over the course of his career. He still gets paid gobs of money by the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Look at his...
Like I said, it's...
Cancel culture. Go look into Tyreek Hill for me. Go for it. It's...
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's cancel culture until it helps your team, and then the second he's not helping your team, that cancel culture can come back. Like the I told you so's are gonna, and that's a tough thing, because like if you have especially when it comes to abuse and everything, it's all fine and dandy to say something, but then you say, well, would you want to? Do you have a daughter? Right? Like there's things.
Yeah.
Like right there. So there is definitely.
Weird lines to be drawn everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere, and it's tough. And I don't know if the return on investment, because if it doesn't work and you're like, oh, geez, this didn't work so well, but if it works, do people forgive you? Like Michael it's such Vick. A fine line, right?
Michael Vick had an entire career with that.
And that's crazy that Michael Vick signed all those $100 million contracts when after like the first one, great, but how wasn't all that stuff checked out before? Right, when he was at Virginia Tech, I think. Right, and then and then he ended up with the pit bull dog fighting ring, and then he still got a contract after that. You're like, okay, well,
do you want to laugh?
And then ends up on television with another $100 million contract, wherever it was.
Do you want to laugh? Hey, I think you'll find this funny.
All because if the average dude does this, if the average dude has a dog fighting ring, he's probably exiled from society.
Yeah,
right. The average dude. Right, I know up here in Western Canada, they probably wouldn't look at that too nicely. Like,
good God, yeah,
you don't work. You don't work here anymore. You just don't work here anymore.
Oh my God,
my boss would say. Right,
I had a joke for you that I thought would be hilarious. So, if let's say the 4th string center on the Pittsburgh Steelers does half of the crap that Tyreek Hill has done throughout his entire career. He's out of the league and probably in prison.
He's probably in prison, and he's probably not even allowed to bag groceries at Loblaws, right?
Exactly. But because you are a name in Tyreek Hill, he gets a free pass every stinking time. How many times has Johnny Manziel gotten in trouble and has been able to walk away scot-free?
More than we'll ever know. More than we'll ever know.
No one will ever know. No one will ever know. Okay? Lawrence Taylor, love the guy, one of my favorite players ever. Exactly. How many times has he walked away scot-free? Because he was the 1986 NFL MVP, blah, 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 doing all sorts of stuff. But he gets to walk away scot-free because he's the best player in the entire NFL.
Because he could tackle quarterbacks.
And break legs.
It's insane the way that happens. And how the moral compass gets forgot when your team gets a ring. Like it's crazy. Like, cause you wouldn't, like I remember they're pretty straight and narrow group. We like to drink beers now and then, but I like if somebody that in my inner circle decided to do something like that, they'd be like, yeah, we don't.
Oh my God.
Like our wives would say, that guy's not coming into my house.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think, and that's, if your moral compass points the right way, I think there's a lot of people be like that. But
I'm an old soul in that regard. To where I can usually say, if you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. If you don't do anything stupid, I don't do anything stupid with you.
Yeah, that's
it. That is it. If you have a problem with me, you tell me to my face, and I will do my best to work on it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's it.
We'll talk about. We'll switch things a little bit here.
Yeah,
you're no. I'm not like I'd love to talk about that, but I got things. You got things. And it's
Dave Chappelle had a bit on this.
Yeah, it's lots.
What was it? The victim blamer card.
Yeah, no, it's true. The Seattle Seahawks traded Geno Smith.
Oh Jesus!
To the might as well get your Sunday off to a roaring start here, Dan. But the Seattle Seahawks traded Geno Smith. Now their quarterback less right now. Basically, the rumor has it they're going to be signing the Marlboro man himself, Sam Darnold, to a contract. Is kind of what all signs are pointing that way. And usually, where there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to these things. And when everybody's pointing this way, it's probably the deal's probably already done, and they're just getting out the final details. Could be done as early as Monday morning at the time of this taping here. But what's your thoughts on this, man? Like it's.
When does free agency officially start? When does free agency officially start for the NFL?
That I don't know.
Hold on, give me a second. I will answer my question. I will answer your question as soon as I figure this out. So, free agency, NFL start. It starts Monday at noon. The negotiating window starts on Monday at noon.
Yeah.
And then the official free agency period starts March 12th. At 4 p.m. Rumor has it that you are correct, that Sam Darnold is looking for a 3-year, 4-year deal. He's not going to get $50 million a year.
Nor should he.
No shot. If he does end up signing with the Seahawks, I do not hate it. I've discussed this with my co-host, my two esteemed co-hosts at Seahawks Sessions, Kevin Wilson and Dustin Henry over Seahawks Sessions. And Dustin, I have agreed that said Mike McDonald has shown to be no bullshit. I want to win. I want to win by any means necessary. If it means trade the starting quarterback and go get Sam Darnold, do it. If it means fire Ryan Grubb for Clint Kubiak, do it. If it means, hey, we're going to trade or we're going to sign Terrell Dodson and Jerome Baker, be our 2 starting linebackers, and then cut them mid-season for a trade of Ernest Jones, do it. Do it. He's not going to bullshit. So the rumor deal is expected to be around $90 million total, which is $30 million a year for 3 years. That's what's going out there right now. And the people that that I have seen or talked to about it, trust him. I trust him. And if the DK Metcalf trade request, this screams, hey, I want a new contract. I want a new contract with you guys. Because I'm not going to get anywhere close to what I know I'm going to get with any other team, with, let's say, I don't know, the Giants or the Patriots or Green Bay or something like that. I know I'm going to get $30 million a year from you guys. And plus, I think there's some people that are saying, oh, the Seahawks are rebuilding. Who rebuilds after 10 wins? Who rebuilds after a 10-win season in the NFL? When you're one game away from the playoffs, an emerging defense, an emerging offense, everything was emerging. Granted, some bumps in the road, but why do you trade Metcalf now? Why? Why would you do it? So, the Sam Darnold thing, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Truthfully, I would not hate it. Because, yeah, he sees ghosts half the time, but he can throw the piss out of the ball.
Well, he's like, I've been at Darling's. I'm a USC guy, and he was at USC.
So you know,
he was a hell of a player, right? So he's a really, but it's funny how he went from, oh my God, I'm seeing ghosts and getting exiled from Jets Island to being the flavor of the week all of a sudden, right? Like he had a very good year.
Yeah, he had a really good year with Minnesota.
But how many? Is this a flash in the pan? Like I hope all the best for him. Like he seems like a really good guy all around, and but I would be a little bit weary that was it one of those situations where a guy overplayed to get a contract, because you see it all the time in a lot of sports. They have a contract year and they hit the ground running and do all they can, and then they fall into mediocrity again. Or was it the system he was in? Or right? There's a lot of like when it comes to quarterbacks. There's a lot of things that can go wrong quickly, because you have is this guy going to be good in this system? Is this guy
breaking news?
Okay, I want to hear it.
Myles Garrett signed a new extension, trade to truce and beyond, $40 million per year with the Browns. No trade.
All right, stay there then.
Anyway, so, but Brian Nemhauser of hawkblogger.com did say something where it's like, yeah, Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings offensive line pass blocking efficiency rate was 30th in the NFL. Who was 32nd? The Seahawks. Quarterback ranking under pressure, Geno Smith was 6th, Sam Darnold was 8th. When blitzed, Geno 9th, Sam Darnold 10th. The Vikings had two really good tackles, Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. Darrisaw missed half the year with a torn ACL. Okay? I'm not trying to hype the whole bullshit around Sam Darnold, but especially if you are a run-first offense now, and you got 3 good backs over here in Seattle. You got 3 good backs. Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, McIntosh. 3 good backs. And pretty good receivers. Not gonna lie. I love me some Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm a Penn State fan. Love that guy at Ohio State. But screw it. Why not? Why not? Go get Sam Darnold. See what he can do. Throw the piss out of the football. See what you can do. Bombs away to DK Metcalf. Moonballs, as they say. Just don't bring back Russell Wilson, for the love of mankind. And
I read that this morning that was
Please don't.
Maybe. Because I guess the Seahawks are kind of because where I am up here, they're kind of the team, because we get the Seattle news on TV here, right? So that's our CBS feed. So you're like, okay, well, so you hear a bunch of Seahawks crap all the time, and not crap, I shouldn't say crap because they're your team, but some bunch of Seahawks stuff, and you're like, I don't like getting back together with the ex doesn't usually turn out very well.
Yeah,
like not very often. It's usually like there's a reason why you broke up in the first place, and usually that reason doesn't go away. Right. And so it's just time to part ways for good and just leave it at that. I don't know. I just, you'd be better off going with a Sam Darnold, maybe drafting somebody in the second round and developing a little bit. Because I think that gets lost a lot. But then you also Darnold's not old, but he's not young. Is Darnold the kind of guy that can develop anybody? So what
27.
So what are you doing next year, like, or the year after? Like you have to have a guy in the background ready to go, no matter what, because you're especially in a quarterback position, you're one tackle away from being done, right? And then what?
And then what?
So, yeah, it's a real tough situation. And before you know it, you're in how many years before Seattle hasn't won anything, because Seattle's they're at that. I think they're at that tipping point where people are forgetting about their championship, right? Like it's been a lot of years.
10 years, yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, that was a long time ago. Like that's a long time ago in the sports fans world. Like you're past that point, like we talked about earlier, that if you win one, it gives you 6 or 7 years of being okay. Okay, now okay doesn't cut it anymore. It's a new generation of fan. So like they got to do something.
The only reason I say give it a shot is because Mike McDonald has shown, okay, no bullshit. Like I said earlier, he's not gonna go for bullshit.
Yeah,
he's gonna want to win as much as he can by any means necessary. So I'm all for you going. Even if Sam Darnold doesn't work out, draft a quarterback in the second round. Draft a quarterback in the third round. See what you can get. Will Howard, Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel. Go get a guy that you know you can develop for 2 years. See what you can do with Sam Darnold for 2 years.
See, the thing about drafting quarterbacks, I don't, it's the Brent original at all, but if you draft, you have to probably draft a guy who's similar to your starter. You can't have a guy who's your backup running all over the place. Like you got to have, because your team is set up a certain way. And so you can't have one guy who does this and the other guy's completely opposite. Like it's because it just for your offensive schemes to work, you have to have two similar guys, or else, like I said, you get some guy who's just running all over the place and making things happen. Well, this isn't how we're doing things. Like we're not going to deep ball anymore. So then it's such a fine line between when you're developing guys. I don't know. It's but you also want the best athlete. Like that there is that too.
Correct. But at the same point, it goes back to the Trevor Bauer thing, which is, can you play the position? Can you do the job? Can you play the position? Can you do the job effectively to where it's like, okay, do what we need you to do, and we will go to the dance. I mean, you can have above average quarterback play. I can name you 2 examples, one in the 80s and then one recently. That you can have above average to good quarterback play at a cheap contract, and you can win a Super Bowl. Nick Foles with the Eagles, and Jim McMahon from the Chicago Bears in 1985.
Yeah, even the Ravens won their first one. Who was Trent Dilfer?
Trent freaking Dilfer.
Right?
Tony Banks was their starter week 1.
Right, so it's
look how that turned out.
You don't have to spend a ton of money, because a lot of teams do spend a ton of money. What are they getting?
Yeah.
I've had Aaron Riley from Brutally Honest on my show a few times. We talked about that. You're like, okay, well, you don't have to. If you spend 60, like, is that guy worth it?
Yeah.
Like, are you as good as that guy? No.
Yeah. Green Bay learned for years. Hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to cost us $50 million a year for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
He's going to win us 13 games, maybe get us to the NFC title game and win 4 MVPs, but that's it.
So what's that mean? Nothing.
That's it. What does it mean? Nothing. It means nothing. So
your Hall of Fame plaque says this: 1 Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Brees made a career off that, but still. But he could have left New Orleans years ago to go to, let's say, back to San Diego. Well, the Chargers, but could have gone to San Francisco or the Raiders. But no, he said, I'm going to stay with the Saints because they've been loyal to me. So I'm going to be loyal to them.
Sidney Crosby situation, right?
Yeah, it's the Sidney Crosby situation.
Exactly the exact same thing.
Exact same thing. But I get the whole team. I predict the whole structure of team building, where you got to have a top tier quarterback or you're not going to do shit, is going to drastically change.
Yeah.
Drastic. I'm talking free agency within the next 3 days.
Yeah, it's crazy because
it's crazy.
Everybody has the same guy, and they're all coming the same way to quarterback. They're all mobile guys now, and they're different. They're just different than the Peyton Mannings and the John Elways of the day, right? It's just different. It's just a lot different. Anyways, Dan, I gotta throw this a lot of fun. What do you got going? You got a million podcasts going on.
It's a million podcasts.
Seems like you're on the air more often than not, man.
Oh, I'm trying my best at this point. I mean, I originally had it was supposed to be just the 4, and it was supposed to be like the 2 shows between Time to BS and the BS sessions, and then I do a solo show from time to time, and then Seahawks sessions start up, and then I did 4 episodes of myself and my fiance for Smoothly Baked, and that's my favorite podcasting name, Smoothly Baked. It's such a great name. I would love to bring that back so bad, but she hates getting behind a microphone. So
talk your ear up otherwise, probably, but put a microphone in her. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But just chilling for the most part. It's a lazy Sunday today. I mean, I'm doing what I can just to relax at this point. I mean, I might play I'll figure something out. Maybe put on a movie or some shit. I'll figure something out. Pretty good with that way.
Sunday with the daylight savings time, and it put us. I don't know why people get so worked up about that. It's an hour over 306 or 180 days. You'll be okay.
You'll be fine. You're fine. Who cares?
They're all in a sort. We'll go to bed earlier the night before then. Whatever. You're fine.
Whatever. Coffee and Red Bull. That helps.
Coffee and Red Bull and bag of chips. Whatever. Anyways. Okay, man. It's a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again sometime. Go Islanders the rest of the year. I'll see might squeeze into the playoffs, and if they do, we'll have you on the show to discuss what can happen, and maybe get the Marlboro man and see what happens with the Seahawks coming up in the very near future. Look forward to listening to you guys do your Seahawks session as well too.
I got you, Brad.
Okay, man. Take it easy. Remember, it doesn't matter where you are; it's who you're with. Have yourself a great Sunday, and we will talk to you soon.